Greetings, geeks and nerds, and Lady Universe, and I'm Nerdy, and it's time for another Lady Universe movie review for you. And this is the one that 1 second in the poll, if you remember, I was talking about it, that Tom and Jerry came first, but Blue Beetle came second, and here it is. Not a big fan of the DVD cover. Have you seen the poster? You could just. Anyways, we are talking about the. We are talking about the newest Blue Beetle film that just basically recently came out. So, and this is one that I've heard a lot of bad things mostly about, and there was a bunch of people that I follow both on Twitter and YouTube and a bunch of other places that were saying, like, listen, despite what people might say about this movie is still awesome, and I'm glad that I just ignored all of this stupid criticism and just had a blast with this movie because this just might be the greatest and the best superhero film I've seen this year. Now, the thing is, I am kind of a fan of Jaime Reyes. I fell in love with him when I saw Batman the Brave and the Bold, and I fell in love with the character almost instantly. Even though that I'm not, of Hispanic nature and everything, but I just felt like it was so awesome to finally see a mainstream Hispanic superhero finally hit the scenes. And I know that for years DC has been trying to push his popularity to finally get on the big screen. Now, frankly, if it wasn't for Batman the Brave and the Bold, I probably would have never heard of this fascinating little bug of a superhero. But here he is, all these years later, and he had finally hit up the big screen, and I can finally talk about this movie. And I have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, again, not to sound like a broken record, that this just might be the greatest superhero film I have ever seen. Just purely one of the best. Now, at first, when I first saw this movie, I wasn't fully on board with it, but I'm glad I stuck around toward the ending because, oh my god, is it so damn good. So first and foremost, I was kind of disappointed that the film did not start out in El Paso, Texas. I was kind of bummed out about that, but then again, film seemed to change things. But man, I cannot lie that every single scene and every character in this is just amazing in of its own right, and it feels so well worthy to finally have Jaime on the big screen. And it goes without saying that Blue Beetle is, without a doubt, probably the shadow of the doubt, is probably my favorite movie of this year because of how damn good it is. So before I go into the film and talk about the things that I liked and everything, first I want to give some background on just who the Blue Beetle is. Blue Beetle first started in popularity way back, um, and at first was this hero that was under the name Dan Garrett. And if you go back and you see Dan Garrett's history through comics, he has quite an amazing assortment of popularity. But then the character was picked up by Charlton Comics, and if you guys know, the second Blue Beetle was created by co-creator of Spider-Man, Steve Ditko, and brought into the mainstream. And Ted Cord is pretty much a lot of people's favorite Blue Beetle, and I can highly understand why. If you read some of the history that Steve Ditko had done with the character, it is amazing in of its own right. And now DC had bought the Charlton verse, so people like Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, and The Question are all existing characters still within the range of DC Universe, which brings us to the third and final character that was created in the late 2000s, Jaime Reyes, and he has held the title basically for the longest time. And, it was never that we were going to get, a Dan Garrett movie or a Ted Cord movie. No, no, no. Even I knew that we wanted to focus on Jaime, who is probably the most popular of the DC characters. I mean, he's shown up in Brave and the Bold, he showed up in Batman the Brave and the Bold, he showed up on Teen Titans, he's shown up in video games and Justice 2, which I was excited as hell for when they announced that. I was like, fucking finally, And then when this movie was announced, I was excited for it, but this movie was kind of in limbo for a while because they weren't exactly sure how this movie was going to go down until finally it was announced that it was being made, and that suit reveal was perfect, and I think that the casting choice was very beautiful in this film as well too. So first and foremost, that without that history, they didn't choose a Blue Beetle villain to be the villain of this movie, I have to kind of talk about that later. The one that they showed, which is a very obscure decision, but still a decision. So let's try and break down the movie as quickly as we can. But let me start up by saying that I love who they picked as the Blue Beetle. His first name is Zorro, I think his name is. I'm not very good with Hispanic names, but he was perfect casting for Jaime because at first he didn't really feel like Jaime Reyes, but later on in the film, my opinions really did change about him. Which of course amazed me that the one thing that they got right with this film is that Jaime is a family man. He really does care about his family, he doesn't want nothing to happen to him, and he's really pretty much all about his family. And something that I love that this film also have done as well is show off that even though people can be people from Hispanic natures or whatever type of nature, they still have a hard time finding work or finding employment. This is until Jaime accidentally activates the scarab, and then the scarab comes loose and it starts hijacking Jaime's body, which of course transforms him into the superhero Blue Beetle. But this film really does get across that Jaime doesn't know what he's doing. He's never been a superhero. He doesn't know how to hold a title, and that he's afraid of making some of the decisions that might get himself or his family hurt. Which of course Jaime would take the longest time throughout the film to figure out, what is my range to be a superhero, what is my true property to be a superhero, and can I be the hero everybody needs? And then of course, like every traditional superhero movie, Jaime does end up finding out that toward the end of the film what he's made for, and that he and the suit really do prove themselves worthy of being a Blue Beetle. I also gotta say, I love Jaime's family. Every single character feels genuine, feels unique, and it actually does feel like an entire family had been made from this point of view. Even though they go through their own hardships, even though they all have stressful times ahead of them, they are all still a family, and I love that this film establishes that very quickly throughout the film. So the villain of the movie is not a Blue Beetle villain. No, it is indeed, without a doubt, Omac. Dead serious. Okay, technically this film had two villains, Jenny Cord, which you don't really need to care, or not Jenny Cord, Vicky or Veronica Cord, but not, you know, the, but we don't really need to care about her. They decided to choose OMAC, not what Batman invents with the whole satellite and the OMAC project and everything. Not that OMAC, the original Jack Kirby OMAC. And if you are a fan of Batman the Brave and the Bold, you've seen this OMAC show up. This is an OMAC that had been designed to be a one-man army corps, and basically it is a superhuman being that gets a load of power. They brought it back, I believe. I don't know if the OMAC comics are still going or not, but it is a person that is granted superpowers, and usually in the comics, it was Buddy Blank who was just a janitor that worked at this company, and then would later on end up becoming OMAC, the one man army corps. And it was so weird to me that this film had decided to choose OMAC, but in a different way, and I was like, that is a Jack Kirby reference and Easter egg, and I'm pretty certain that Jack Kirby's granddaughter was probably very happy to have her grandfather be a homage in this and whatnot. But even I was kind of confused, like the one-man army corps, which is basically a superhero, not a well-known one, an obscure one in the DC universe, and you're choosing to use a very obscure superhero for this movie. Hey, you know what? They did a very good storytelling. They brought it into light, and I gotta say that the fight scene later on with Omac was quite impressive. Blue Beetle was a film for me that did not disappoint me. I actually really did like it, and I really did enjoy it the entire time I was watching it, even though I wasn't so clear on it from the beginning. But this film is amazing. It's just chock full of Easter eggs and references to other superheroes, and I think that is great, especially referencing the entire Blue Beetle universe. So if you haven't seen Blue Beetle yet, I highly recommend that you do. It is an amazing superhero movie, and despite the criticism, it is one of the best superhero movies ever made. This is one hell of an impressive superhero movie, and I cannot wait to see Blue Beetle pop up in more films like it, or even if this film gets a sequel, which I really, really hope that it does. It's too awesome not to have a sequel. I mean, yeah, man, I'll be honest and say it again. At first, I was not really on board with this movie because I was kind of confused about it at first. Like, maybe that this isn't that this isn't for me, but I'm glad that I just kept along with the ride and kept it going. There was a few things that I wish that the film would have established more of, like the OMAT project originally, maybe a little bit more about the villain. The kind of rushed storytelling that they do for him later on for Karatat, I think his name is, was nice, but I think that we should have gotten a little bit more of what could happen. And also, that end credit sequence might indicate that Ted Cord is still alive. So this might mean that there might be a Booster Gold that pops up in in the universe, and he's supposed to show up in Superman Legacy. So maybe Blue Beetle sequel in the future. But in all sincerity, I really did have a blast with Blue Beetle, and it is great. I also did really like Becky G as the suit, truthfully. I didn't think that I would really like her all that much, but she did an amazing job voicing the Scarab, which they did call the Scarab Kajida. Okay. So when Dan Garrett had the Scarab, in order to activate it, he would call it by name, which is Kajida, which is a very nice reference to Dan Garrett. So Blue Beetle is an awesome movie. It has an amazing cast, great performances all the way around, great special effects that hold up to this day, and that Blue Beetle suit is just a chef's kiss on top of everything else. So on top of this already a tremendous superhero movie, I have to say that I'm going to give it the that I'm going to give it my Funko Pop rating of a Supreme Strange because this superhero film really did reign supreme for me, and I highly recommend it to any and all superhero movie fanatics to please, 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 please check out this movie, give it some more love and some more recommendation because it is an awesome film that should be seen by everyone. Blue Beetle is just way too fucking awesome, man. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but please see this movie, give it more love and recommendations and shit, man. Oh my god, I was so blown away. So let me know what you thought about Blue Beetle in the comments down below, and also who is your favorite Hispanic superhero? If it doesn't have to be Blue Beetle, which it is for me, then who would it be? I also love one more thing before I end this review that I love how relatable that they made Jaime, which is really, really awesome. I'm not Hispanic at all, but I can really see why people can be like, hey, I can relate to him just like, with Spider Man, either Peter Parker or Miles Morales. So I thought that was really awesome for me that I could actually, hey, be like, can relate to this guy. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for me. Twitter, the link in the description down below. And again, be sure to let me know who your favorite Hispanic superhero is. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and please check out Blue Beetle. It deserves more love than it has. I mean, it has a bunch of hate more than it has love, but I really did love it. It might take you, like me, a little while to kind of sink into the film, but I really do think that due time that you guys will love it too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I believe Universe, I want you nerdy. Keep eking on. Check out the Blue Beetle film, and until next time, guys, take care and Kajida.